All right, folks. So yesterday we talked about tables and using those to find equivalent ratios. So today you're going to do the same thing. You're going to practice. So I want you to make sure that you're on the right side of the paper and that it says grocery store rates. Okay, we're going to start there. And we know that rates is a type of a ratio, right? A type of a ratio that compares different units. Okay, different units. So we're talking here, it says a grocery store sells apples for $2.50 per pound. Okay, so I'm going to look over here and I see my labels are pounds of apples and the total cost. So the pounds of my apples is 1 and the total cost based on the problem is 250. Okay, so we're going to complete this table. And we can use, remember we talked about two types of relationships, the ones that go between, like this, and the ones that go within, okay? So I can do two things. I can multiply here by 2, and then that would give me the same thing here, which would be 250 by 2. I'm going to do a little math, right? 250 times 2 is going to be what? Oh, looky there. So 2 pounds of apples is going to cost $5. Okay. So then I need to figure out this one. So if I know that the total cost is $17.50, right? How many pounds is that? Okay. So one thing that I can do is I can then try to find a relationship from here. So I could try to find a relationship within, because I think that's going to help me out a little bit. So I'm going to, okay, so what I want to do is find a relationship within. So I'm going to look from pounds, oops, give me my pen, from pounds to cost. Well, I know that this is going to be times 250, right? Because in order to get from 1 to 250, I would multiply by 250. So over here, if I go within, I'm going to go the opposite direction, which is from the big number to the pounds, right? The cost to the pounds. So instead of multiplying by 250, I'm actually going to divide by 250. So I'm going to give myself some room over here to do some math. And I'm going to find that 17.50 divided by 2.5. I move my decimal point over 1. And how many 25s are in 175? Well, that's going to be how many? 7. And 7 times 5 is 25 is 175. So I know that it's going to cost, and that gives me 0, right? There's 0 left. So I know that it's going to cost 7. Actually, no, it's not cost. It's pounds. Sorry about that. That should actually just be 7 pounds. Okay? And there, remember, you have to remember here, not to make you confused, but in order to find the relationship, I can either multiply or I can divide. And remember, I can go between or within. So this next one tells me I have 9 pounds of apples. So I'm going to go back over here to my original ratio, which started with 1 to 250. So I'm going to go this way. And how did I get from 1 to 9? Well, 1 times 9 is 9. So 250 times 9. Remember, I can take the 0 off because it's equivalent, right? So that's 45. Ooh. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 4 is 22. And I have that 9 pounds of apples is going to cost $22.50. Okay? $22.50. And we added that 0 on because we're talking about money, right? And you wouldn't write money without the actual 50 cents. Okay? Okay. So on this one, we're actually not going to do this equation piece, so you can put a little X through that. So now, if you'll notice, down below, there are 4 problems that go with what we're doing, that go with these rates. Okay, so we'll start there, and we'll start with the next one, and we'll do this one together, and then you'll be able to do a couple more on your own. Okay, so what you need to remember is that you're going to use this table that we just made together. You're going to use that for the rest of this page. Okay, so this rate right here, 1 pound is $2.50. You're going to use that on every table. So again, here we go. The grocery store sells apples for $2.50 per pound. It wants to know what will 2.5 pounds cost. Well, we know that 1 pound costs how much? $2.50. And we know that 2 pounds costs how much? $5, right? And so somewhere in here, we need to go, well, what if I had 2.5 pounds? Well, if I know 2 pounds is $5, how can I find 2.5? So I can look between, and I know that 1 times 2.5 is going to give me 2.5, right? So I'm going to do the same thing down here, 2.5 times 2.5. Well, these are the same thing, right? So I'm just going to multiply 2.5 times 2.5. And I'm going to get, so when I multiplied by that scale factor, I got $6.25. Okay. So another way that we could do this, so that's one way, is using that between scale factor, right? If you want to multiply by all those decimals. Or I'm going to erase this, and I just want to show you. You guys leave yours as it is, but I just want to show you another option, because we can always be thinking differently about numbers, right? At least that's what I'm always saying. So if I know that 2 is $5, I know that the other thing I'm looking for, right, is 2.5, right? That's my ultimate goal. Well, so I would need a half, right? Well, this is the same. 1/2 is the same as 0.5. So if I know that 1 is 250, what's half of 250? Well, you could know that easily because it's 125. So then I can take these two values, right, in my table, and I can put them together, 2 and 1/2, and I get $6.25, which was the same thing that I had the last time around. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. When you look at this table, it's the next one. Notice it's the same type of pattern. We're going to go to 4.5. Remember, you're going to use the same ratio, or the same rate. 1 pound to $2.50 per pound. And we're going to try to get to 4 1/2. Okay? Be aware that on these tables, they gave you extra spaces, so you might not use all of it, right? And that's okay. So we can start here. I'm going to get you started. We know that 1 is $2.50. We know that 2 is going to be $5, right? Because we did that on the last table. So if I want to skip over, can I skip 3 and go to 4? Sure, because I can do 2 times 2, right? There's a ratio, a scale factor here. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. That means because these are equivalent, I can do 5 times 2, which is 10. So that means 4 pounds of apples are $10. And what did we know half a pound was? We'll go back to this one. Half a pound was what? $1.25. So I can do half a pound was $1.25. So now when I look at this one, I have 4 pounds is $10 plus the half a pound, which is going to be $11.25. So down here, oh, I forgot to do this part. Down here, the cost of 4 1/2 pounds of apples would be $11.25. Okay? So now you're going to pause my video and you're going to try to do the last 2 tables. Okay? Okay, so here is the answer to the next one. Notice I did a between scale factor to get up to 10. And I knew I was looking for $30. So I did 10 times 3 is 30. And because they're equivalent ratios, I used the same scale factor to get me 4 times 3, which is 12. So the cost of 12 pounds of apples would be $30. Okay? Now try this next one, the last one on this page by yourself. Now that you finished those pages, you're going to flip over to the back, and now we're going to talk about ratios. And remember, ratios is a comparison of the same measures, okay? So here we're talking about part to part, peanut butter to jars of jelly. And it tells me that a grocery store stocks peanut butter and jelly at a ratio of 3 jars to 2 jars. Well, so that means there's 3 jars of peanut butter for every 2 jars of jelly. Okay? So, again, we want to look for the relationship. This one's going to go between. So I have 3 times 2 gets me 6. So the relationship down here would be 2 times 2, which would give me 4. So for 6 jars of peanut butter, I'd have 4 jars of jelly. Okay? So then I want to fill in this table. So 3 to here, right? There's a scale factor. 2 to 10. Well, what can I multiply 2 by to get 10? Yep, that's right, 5. So I'm going to do the same thing up here, times 5. And what is 3 times 5? Well, that would be 15. So that means for 15 jars of peanut butter, I could eat, or maybe I'm hungry, I could have 10 jars of jelly. Now, what happens when I do the same thing here? Remember, I'm always going to go back to that original ratio, right? So I'm going to go here, 3 to 24. 3 times what is 24? That's right, times 8, which means I'm going to do the same thing here. 2 times 8 is going to be 16. So for every 25 jars of peanut butter, I have 16 jars of jelly. Remember, you call this number here that you multiply by the scale factor. Also, you can put a little X right there when I'm going to do the equation. Okay? All right. So this one, I think you should be able to do, but we'll look at them. There's 4, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 more problems down at the bottom. Remember, you're going to use this ratio table for all of the next problems. Okay, we're talking about peanut butter to jelly. So here we go. We're going to do this one together, and then I think you can do the rest on your own. So it says that a grocery store stocks peanut butter and jelly at a ratio of 3 jars of peanut butter to 2 jars of jelly. Okay, this is going to come back into what we talked about yesterday in class. You have a total number of 5 jars, right? So then I want to know how many jars of jelly there would be if I had 60 jars of peanut butter. So I'm going to go way down here. 60. Remember, you might actually, you know what, I'm not going to go there. You might not use all the spaces, and that's okay. So I'm going to go here. Because I know that I can do a between scale factor of 10. And 3 times 10 would give me 30. And I can do the same thing here, a scale factor of 10. So if I do 2 times 10, then I have 20. Okay? Knowing this, I know my total is 50, 30 plus 20. But I can look here, and it does work. Remember that scale factor, 5 times 10 gives me 50. Okay? So if I can do times 10 here, then I can do from this one to this one, right? Or I could do 30 to 60, or I can come back to my original ratio and do 3 times what gets me 60. Well, I know 3 times 20 is going to give me 60, right? And I know, 2 times 20 is going to give me what? That's right, 40. So if I know that for 60 jars of peanut butter, I would have 40 jars of jelly. How many total jars would I have? 100. So 60 jars of peanut butter and 40 jars of jelly for a total of 100 jars of peanut butter and jelly. Okay? All right, so your job is to finish the rest of this page by yourself. Notice you're going to use the same ratio, 3 jars of peanut butter to 2 jars of jelly. You can even go down the page. Here, let's do that. Go down the page and fill in the ratio. That initial ratio is 3 jars of jelly to 2 jars of peanut butter, which gives you a total of 5 jars. The last one, same thing. 3 jars of peanut butter, 2 jars of jelly, 5 total jars. Okay? Notice each one is asking for a different thing. Be careful, because like the second one, I went back up to number 2. Number 2. It wants to have a total of 200. So you're going to put your total down here in the total box. Okay? This is what you're trying to get to. Okay? Hopefully that helps. Then if you skip down to number 3, it asks, what if there were, how many jars of peanut butter would you have? Peanut butter and jelly if there were 75 jars of peanut butter. So you're going to come down here and you're trying to get to 75 jars of peanut butter. Okay? And then the last one, you're trying to find jelly. So this one gives you have 260 jars of jelly, and you're trying to find out peanut butter. Okay? So now hopefully that will help you get to where you need to be. Remember, you can do a within. Oh, just kidding. Erase that. You can do a between, or you can do a within. You want to do the one that makes the most sense here. Within is going to be kind of hard on this one. Okay? So I'm going to pause the video. Actually, I want you to pause the video. And I want you to try to work on those last 3. And then I'll put the answers up for when you are done. Okay, so on this question, you can see that I did a scale factor of 10 to get to 30. And then I realized, oh wait, I can do 5 times something to get to 200. So I did a scale factor of 40. And when you multiply that scale factor of 40, you get 120 jars of peanut butter, 80 jars of jelly, and the total of 200. On this one, I found I could do a simple scale factor of 25. I didn't even have to do anything in between. I could go straight from 3 to 75, and I got times 25. 2 times 25 gave me 50. 5 times 25 gave me 125. And when you add these together, that also gives you 125. Okay? On this last one, be careful because you got to get bigger, right? So think bigger than like times 2. So I would do a between of 100 because I need to get to 300, right? So if I can get to 300, and then I can get to 200 because it's times 100, right? And then I can get to 500 because it's times 100. Okay, that gets me closer to where I need to be. Here I'm at 200 and I need to get to 260. So then I think in my head, well, what times 2, right? Because I can try to put, think about it this way. Let's try to put these 2 together to make 260. So what would I need here? I would need 60. So 2 times what gives me 60? That's right, 2 times 30. So then I have 3 times 30, which gives me 90. And if I think about 60 plus 90, that fills in here with 150. But if I look at 200 plus 60, that's 90. 300 plus 90 is 390. And then I have a total of 650. So that's a little different way of thinking about it. But that means for every 390 jars of peanut butter, there will be 260 jars of jelly, or 650 jars of both. Okay, hopefully you were able to do this assignment. Make sure that your name is on it, and make sure that you turn it in to the substitute. I hope you guys are on your very best behavior, and I will see you on Friday.